Okay, everybody, we're back again with my 125-gallon fish tank. What we're doing today is an update on two particular items that are new on the tank. The first one would be CPR manufacturing overflow box and the 320 watt Odessea light with built-in timer. Let's go look at the overflow box and get this update rolling here. Bought this on eBay. It was a remanufactured 800 gallon an hour overflow box. Talked to many people, and some people agree with buying stuff that's been refurbished or remanufactured. Some disagree on it. I've bought other stuff refurbished in the past and have never had a problem with it. So I went ahead and tried it. Now, brand new, like for example at Dr. Foster's, which I do a lot of business through. They had it for $114 in that area. They have a free shipping after you spend $49 or more, but still it's $120. You know, I searched on eBay and I found it for $89 with free shipping. So I went with it. All included, it came with the lid, it came with the vent straw, it came with the bulkhead screen, and a pre-filter sponge. It came with the aqua lifter pump, and it works great. When you buy them new, unremanufactured, they come with a little white sponge that would be applied here. I was looking at it, I was seeing how essential I needed it. I mean, if they send it with it originally, then yeah, you would use it. But what happens is it's a finer pad. So what happens is it clogs very easily. This particular one, which I got from Dr. Foster's, this is a cut to fit coarse filter pad. And I think the dimensions were like 24 inches by 24 inches. So on this you get many strips. I went ahead and I cut a couple, like 4 of these filter pads to that size. So all I got to do every morning is pop that one out, pop a clean one in. I tried running it without the filter sponge there, and it worked, but it wasn't very effective because the bubbles, they kept building up, and I almost lost, siphon a couple times. Luckily I didn't. So I went with a filter pad there. I'm glad I did, because now I never ever have a problem with too many bubbles. The only time I ever get bubbles is when I change the filter pad out. Any additional bubbles that get pushed in, they do go up, but then they also go out. So you never lose siphon. Any bubbles that do sit there get sucked up by the aqua lifter pump. And one good quality that I like about CPR overflow boxes is they come with these adjusting screws. Okay, these two adjusting screws actually have two functions that I have found. First one is adjusting your water level. When you raise the system up, the water level will go up, and the water level in your sump drops. With that being said, when you lower it, it lowers your water level in your tank, and it'll raise your sump water. The feature that I love the most about those two screws is if you raise one side up just 2 or 3 little turns, any bubbles that accumulate all shift to the aqua lifter pump and get sucked up. It's a great design. I've seen a lot of people use the U-tube for their siphon, and people say that they have ran into problems. Some say they haven't. Uh, it's essentially the exact same thing. Instead of having a U-tube, this whole chamber here is your U-tube. Okay, as you can tell, it comes down and up, and it overflows into the box. Any bubbles or extra water that gets sucked out by the aqua lifter pump up here goes through this down tube right out there, and as you can tell, there's no bubbles. There's no bubbles coming out of it once in a while. Other than that, it seems to be a very good build. I mean, good design. I give them props. I give them 2 thumbs up. But I get a lot of snails. You know, it hasn't been a problem yet, but snails, they keep laying eggs in there, and the downfall to this U-tube is it's a pain in the butt to clean. I haven't had to clean it yet, thank God. As you can tell, there's no algae buildup or anything like that that would make me have to clean it yet. But when that time comes, I'm really not sure the best way to clean this U-tube. For any of you viewers out there that have a CPR overflow, fill in the comments. Let me know what you do on your maintenance for your overflow box. With that being said, I mean, it's a great overflow box. I don't have any issues. The first week was rough just because it has to get dialed in. You're getting used to it. The vent tube's got to be adjusted. You're checking your water levels. Okay? If the vent tube isn't adjusted right, you get surging. So when you get surging, what it's doing is this chamber fills up with water, and then all at once, just like a toilet flushing, it surges out into the tube. Now what is causing that is the air tube. If you don't have that air tube just right, it creates a full siphon, and then that creates a vacuum. When it gets down to the bottom, it creates a lot of gurgling and slurping noise and such. So once you get that dialed in, as you can tell, it's not surging at all. The water level is staying pretty constant where it's at, and that's because I have it dialed in just right to where that straw is allowing the right amount of air to mix in and go down the drain. Very good product. Very good product. They get a top rating from me on the design of that. All right, moving on. I can sit there and talk all day about my fish tank. Ask my wife; she'll prove it. All right, the next update is the Odessea 320 watt aquarium light with a built-in timer. It's a great light. I haven't ran into any issues. The only issue I did have was one of the actinic bulbs. Let the camera dial in there. This actinic bulb right here had gone out for some reason, and it was within a month. So I had to have just gotten a faulty bulb. Well, I had gotten it from Top Dog Sellers. So what I did was I shot him an email and I explained the situation. He told me to go ahead and switch connections, make sure it was the bulb or the system. I did, and we proved it was the bulb. No questions asked. He sent me out a brand new bulb. I like Top Dog Sellers. I've bought a lot of stuff through them. They're very, very comparative with price. Normally, they run cheaper, and cheap is good. I own a landscape business, and you know, I live by checks. You know, I get a check, I get money. Not rich by any means. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I make do. You know. As far as value goes for the light was $120, $170 with free shipping. With the 4 bulbs and 320 watt, with comparable light systems, they were definitely the cheapest ones. And this is actually a reef capable light. The actinics, and then it's also got the 10K white. So my plants are doing great, and it's not too much light to where my fish are getting blinded. Couple good pros. The built-in timer, very, very nice. Never got to touch it. The other light I had, I was running a 200 watt LED light. And unfortunately, it didn't have a dimmer switch or a timer. So every morning I have to get up and I turn the actinics on. And about 10 minutes later, I turn on the white lights. And same thing at night. So it became kind of like a pain in the butt to me. All right. With the timer, it just does it on its own. It's self-maintenance light. It's got 3 different settings. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but it's got actinics, which are just the blues. All of the 420 actinic lights, and then it's got the 10Ks. Kick those on, and then at nighttime, it's got 10 royal blue LEDs, which is a very nice feature to have at night. It's a nice little night light, and it's very pretty. The downfall to these lights is they don't have the shimmer like LEDs do on the bottom of the tank. Granted, it is a little bit of a deeper tank, but there's no shimmer. And some people mind, some don't. It gives a nice little feature. I don't mind at all. The light is doing what it's supposed to do. It's helping my plants grow, and it's lighting up, illuminating the tank. Another pro about this light is the low profile. That light literally 3 inches thick, so it does not appear to be bulky or take up a lot of space. I mean, matter of fact, it runs cool actually compared to other lights. I have my flat screen TV mounted right above it, and with the hanging kit, which is sold separately through Top Dog Sellers. I think they were like $14, but it's a very low profile, held up by one screw mounted into a stud. It's got an adjustable fitting here, so you can raise it or lower it. The way it works is there's ball bearings. There's 3 ball bearings in there. So when you go to raise your light, it allows those ball bearings to loosen and allow the cable to come through. When the weight of the light is back onto it, those ball bearings pinch that wire inside there so that it doesn't go down. It's just one way all the way up. It's kind of a pain in the butt to lower it because you got to take it apart and you got to manually do it. But once you have it set, you never need to touch it again. So it's not a pain in the butt at all. My overall view, it's a great light. If you're looking for a beginner light, I wouldn't recommend this on a 300-gallon coral-filled aquarium. But for my 125-gallon planted community tank, this is more than efficient for me. It runs relatively cooler. There is some light, being compact lights, fluorescent lights. They do produce a little bit of a heat, but notice on top, right there, there's 3 of these cooling fans in there. And I inspect it every once in a while. I look at the dust on it, because dust will accumulate anywhere there's a fan blowing. And, I blow it off every once in a while. Other than that, it's a great light. It stays cool. It doesn't, a lot of people, when you run metal halides, they got to run chillers on their tank and stuff like that to keep the temperature low. Well, I don't have to. Not to mention, since it's a powerful light, I'm able to keep it a little bit higher off of the water. Depending on what kind of tank you're running, I mean, some people will run their lights, 4 to 5, maybe 6 inches off the tank, where mine is about 10, maybe a foot. I love it, both of them, the light and the overflow box. Both are great products, and the reason I like these products is because they're cost effective. Not everyone can go out and just throw 500 bones on a tank. A lot of people live check to check, and that can make it difficult. But when you find the people that live check to check, it helps that we can get good quality products for a good quality price. It's always about saving a buck. That 50 bucks you save there can go somewhere else on your tank. Maybe get another piece of equipment with it. Maybe stock up on food. Okay? Everything that I have on this tank, I find the best price for. My 30-gallon sump, I actually had bought it a year ago for $109, and it was like $50 to ship it here. But you go out, you can get other sumps for $200-300. I like to do everything very cost effective. Some people would say I'm cheap, but yeah, that's not a bad thing in the economy these days. Everyone's got to save a buck. You know, the pumps. I got deals on the pumps, the heaters. I got a 300 watt heater in there that I don't even have to keep it plugged in because of my Flowtech water pump, 1,200 gallon an hour water pump. It keeps the tank pretty steady at about 82, 84 degrees. Now 84 is kind of pushing it for a tropical tank. It's good to control ick, but you really want it to be anywhere between 76 and 80 degrees is ideal, depending on the tropical fish you have. I have platies and neon tetras, and there is an angelfish in here somewhere. I had more, but yeah, they're in a better place because ammonia killed them when I was setting up the tank. But anyways, the pump keeps it at about 84 degrees, and actually what I'm going to do is, it should be actually coming today. I have a little cooling fan that I had purchased for a light a while ago, and then the light went out, but the fan was brand new, so I kept the fan, and it's just like a little computer fan. I'm going to figure out a way to mount it up here because I'm a firm believer of evaporative cooling. You could go out, I could get a chiller and hook that up to the system and have it constant at that, but a chiller, even for a small chiller, you're looking at 250 to 300, and that's for a small, maybe not even top of the line one. That's a little excessive for me, and if I can control it with a $15 fan, I am all for it. Okay, all of the filter socks I use, those were $4 a piece. I bought 4 of them. I reuse them. You wash them. All I do is I turn them inside out and I throw them in a washing machine with a little bit of bleach, and that's it, ready to go. So I mean, cost effective is important. Having a tank alone, it's a luxury. It's not it's not a requirement. You don't need a fish tank to live. But if you're going to want to do it as cost effective as possible. And hopefully, as I progress, I will help you find the best deals and have the most beautiful tank. Always search your products. I always look at the stores. You always want to support your local fish stores first, especially with the economy. You get a lot of stuff that's outsourced and brought in from China. It may be good stuff, but wouldn't you like to give an American a job? Buying online, you kind of eliminate the American jobs. So I try to, support my local pet stores as much as I can. And sometimes, yeah, they're not the cheapest. Where sometimes I have to search online, like with fish. I live in Marseilles, and there's not too many pet stores. There's Frank's Pets, which is in Streeter, Illinois, and then there's a PetSmart. So I'm very limited on where I can get products. And I'll tell you, PetSmart, they're okay. I don't particularly like buying their fish, but these neon tetras are from there, and I haven't had any problems. But they don't have the equipment for big tanks. They got your standard, your 29 gallon, your nano tanks. Not much saltwater stuff there either, which this isn't salt water, but eventually down the road I do want salt water. Um, when you buy online, you got to look around. You got to find the best deal. If you can get it at the same price at your local fish store, then do it. Support America. Um, aside from that, I mean, I try to save money anywhere I can on this tank because, like I said, it's a luxury. You don't need it, therefore, you got to find money when you can. Bills come first, but um, as you can tell, everything I have on here has been found at the greatest value, and my tank is perfect. I bought the tank and the stand from a gentleman in Chicago for $100. 125 gallon tank, freshly resealed, perfect condition. Aside from there's some calcium staining from the previous owner, and there's a mystery stain going down the front of the glass. I'm guessing they used some type of adhesive remover and it dripped. I'm going to get some glass compound and buff that out. But essentially, that tank itself only cost $100, not including all of the equipment, fish, and decor. In total, this tank is probably worth close to $1,200, and I probably paid maybe maybe $600 for everything. And that's also over the course of a few years. I started out with a 55 gallon, and eventually I needed more space. My fish were getting bigger, so I had to upgrade. And it took me months to find one that I thought was a good value, and it came across. So I got it, $100. Can't beat that for a 125 gallon tank with an oak stand, might I add. So, with all of that being said, I hope you enjoy the updates. I definitely recommend CPR overflow boxes and Odyssey lights, especially through Top Dog Sellers. He'll give you a great deal. Other than that, we have a happy tank. So, to the next episode, my friends, happy tanks!